The day I met James and Patrick, I thought my life had finally started falling into place. It was one of those sunlit afternoons where everything seemed possible, and the world hummed with potential. James was magnetic, pulling people toward him. With his easy charm and unshakable confidence, he noticed me right away, his attention like a spotlight. And I basked in its warmth. But Patrick was there too, standing on the fringes, quiet but compelling. His presence wasn't loud, but it was steady, like the earth beneath my feet. There was a calmness to him that made me feel seen, in a way James's flashy charm never could. I found myself drawn to him, catching his eye across the gathering, feeling a pull that terrified me, even then. When James pursued me, I convinced myself it was the right choice. He was the kind of man people envied, the kind of man who could make you feel like you were the center of the universe. When he chose to, and Patrick, he never said anything. He let James have the stage, stepping back as if it were the natural order of things. I married James because he asked, because he was everything I thought I should want. But the truth was, a part of me never stopped wondering, what could have been if Patrick had stepped forward instead? James's energy that once swept me off my feet eventually left me adrift. He was always moving, always chasing the next goal, the next deal, the next big thing. At first, I tried to keep up to match his pace and his ambition. But the years wore me down, and the gaps between us widened until they felt like chasms. I didn't even notice how lonely I had become until it was too late. The silence of our home weighed on me, and his absences left me cold. I told myself it was normal, that every marriage settled into this kind of rhythm eventually. But deep down, I knew better. Patrick was always there, a steady presence at family gatherings. His quiet strength, a sharp contrast to James's boundless energy. I tried not to notice him, but it was impossible. There was a gravity to him, an unspoken understanding that lingered in every glance we shared. It wasn't overt, it wasn't something anyone else would notice, but I felt it deep in my bones. When James suggested I spend a few days helping Patrick set up his new lake house, I felt a flicker of something I couldn't name, dread, anticipation, both tangled together in a knot I couldn't untie. The first day was uneventful. We unpacked boxes, hung curtains, and settled into an easy rhythm of quiet efficiency. But by the second night, something shifted. The lake stretched out before us as the last rays of sunlight melted into the horizon, casting the water in hues of gold and violet. The air was cool, heavy with the scent of pine and the faint dampness of the approaching night. I sat on the porch, my hands wrapped around a warm mug. Watching the light fade, I felt him before I saw him. His presence was unmistakable, a steady warmth that seemed to fill the space around him. When he sat beside me, the silence between us was charged as if the air had thickened, making every breath feel deliberate. The ache I had carried for so long, the loneliness, the longing, rose to the surface unbidden and unstoppable. I tried to push it down, to bury it under the weight of everything that had kept us apart. But the way he looked at me, steady and unyielding, made it impossible. When his hand brushed mine, the touch was light, almost accidental, but it set my skin alight. A ripple of sensation that spread through me like wildfire. I froze, my breath catching. The air between us suddenly too thin. I wanted to pull away, I wanted to stay. His touch lingered, his fingers grazing mine, and my resolve crumbled. My body moved before my mind could stop it, leaning into him, seeking the warmth and steadiness I had craved for so long. His hand found my cheek rough and warm. Tilting my face upward, the firelight from inside the cabin cast shadows across his features, highlighting the sharp line of his jaw, the intensity in his eyes. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat a deafening drum in the silence. When his lips met mine, it was as if the world stilled. The kiss was tentative at first, testing, exploring. His lips were warm, firm, but gentle, and I felt myself melt into him. My hands found their way to his chest, the solid strength beneath my fingertips grounding me, even as I felt like I might float away. His arms wrapped around me, pulling me closer until there was no space left between us. His touch was everywhere, steady, reverent, igniting a fire that had been smoldering inside me for years. My skin seemed to hum with electricity, every nerve alive and buzzing under his touch. There was no rush, no urgency. Every movement, every breath was deliberate, as though we had all the time in the world. His hands moved along my back, the warmth of his touch seeping through the fabric of my clothes, leaving a trail of sensation in its wake. It wasn't just about the physical connection. It was about everything that had led us here, the years of longing, the unspoken words, the choices and regrets that had brought us to this moment. It felt like coming home, like finding a part of myself I hadn't even realized was missing. The first light of dawn filtered through the trees, casting the cabin in soft golden hues. I woke slowly, the warmth of the blankets and the stillness of the room wrapping around me like a cocoon. Patrick was beside me, his breathing deep and even his face relaxed in sleep. I studied him in the quiet, my heart heavy with a mixture of emotions I couldn't untangle. I knew I couldn't stay. My life was waiting for me beyond this cabin. A life I had chosen, even if it no longer felt like mine. But as I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake him, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. The walk back to the house felt surreal, the weight of what had happened settling over me like a heavy cloak. But beneath the guilt, the confusion was something else. Something I hadn't felt in years: hope,